Recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Madam Chairwoman, for your leadership on this very important issue. I want to pause to thank the gentleman from New York, Mr. Higgins, for his leadership on the other side of the aisle. Last week, Congress took a rare break from our work here and from partisanship. We came together to remember those who died on 9/11 and during the war on terrorism. We stood together on the Capitol steps and we pledged that we would never forget the heartbreaking events of that fateful day. One of the ways we can honor the memory of those who lost their lives is to be prepared, so that our country will never again experience such a tragedy. Mr. Speaker, that's why I'm standing before you today, thanking you for putting, and the members of the body for putting partisanship aside and working together to keep our families and our communities safe from new and emerging threats to our nation. We're all aware of the Iranian nuclear threat in the Middle East and globally. But there's another potential threat from Iran and its proxies closer to home. That threat is an emerging Iranian-backed terror network here in the Western Hemisphere. What we already know is very alarming. We know about last October's foiled Iranian plot to assassinate the Saudi Arabian ambassador to the U.S. here on American soil. We know that Iran has vastly expanded its diplomatic and economic footprint in Latin America. For example, we know about the Department of Defense 2012 annual report on Iran that stated that during the past 3 decades, Iran has methodically cultivated a network of sponsored terrorist surrogates capable of targeting U.S. and Israeli interests. Just this month, a Brazilian journal, Beja, and others reported on a police seizure in Bolivia of 2 tons of minerals believed initially to contain uranium, but more likely tantalum, the mineral that is in demand for, and among other things, nuclear reactors and missile parts. We know that 2 weeks ago, an Israeli news organization revealed that Iran has established Hezbollah terrorist training base in northern Nicaragua, with operatives being trained at the base to attack Israeli and U.S. targets in the event of a raid on Iranian nuclear installations. And we know that just last week, press reports revealed that 3 suspected Hezbollah members were arrested just south of our border in Mexico. None of this should come as a surprise. Iran has publicly stated that increasing their presence and ties to Latin America is one of their top foreign policy objectives. However, we must have the capabilities to defend ourselves from potential Iranian attacks here on the homeland. We must be able to clearly identify this emerging threat and develop strategies which include working with our neighbors here in this hemisphere to prevent Iran from being a danger to our country here at home. Mr. Speaker, that's why this bill 3783 establishes a strong U.S. posture, policy, and relationship with Latin American countries. It protects U.S. interests and assets in the Western Hemisphere, such as embassies, consulates, businesses, energy pipelines, and cultural organizations, including threats to U.S. allies. It addresses the vital national security interests of the United States by ensuring that energy supplies from Western Hemisphere are free from the influence of any foreign government that would attempt to manipulate or disrupt global energy markets. This bill requires a secure U.S. border, with the U.S. working in coordinations with governments of Mexico and Canada to prevent Iranian operatives from entering the United States. This bill counters efforts by foreign persons, entities, and governments in the region which may assist Iran in evading U.S. and international sanctions. Mr. Speaker and Madam Chairwoman, I urge that members of this body come together and vote for this very important issue, H.R. 3783. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from New York.
Thank you, Mr.